Donovan Sadiq. Another week. Man, stuff is just going and going and going. It's getting bad out here, you guys. Donovan Sadiq, it is June 5th, 2020. It is 1841. And I'm going to tell you guys, it is bad out here, y'all. Y'all just don't get it. Y'all not understanding it. I don't think you want to understand it because, you know, it's something we've never been through before. The other three officers were finally charged. For those guys that haven't been paying attention. But, you know, is that it? Are we done? Was that the whole goal? So now we're going to sit down and, you know, go back to what we were doing. You got 43 million Americans out of work. And of course, black people are the main ones out of work. Don't be fooled by that jobs report thing that came out. You guys got to remember on that jobs report, those companies had to show full employment so they don't have to pay that money back. So that report is another accounting trick that they use to make it seem like, you know, they're doing all this great stuff when they're really not doing anything at all, you know. But, you know, people are going to fall for it. Oh, look at the economy and everything's going great. No, everything is not going great. It's just not. So one of my questions that I've been talking about, and we're also going to do this on the YouTube channel. We're going to share that a little bit later. I'm Donovan Sadiq, your host. This is the Hot Seat Podcast, Donovan Sadiq Show. I am Donovan Sadiq, and I am also known as the Inland Empire Informer. And I just want to, let's do some homework here. And where are the good cops? That's my question. And nobody seems to be able to answer that question. You know, they're saying, oh, you know, there's good cops out there, Donovan. They're out there. Where? Point them out. Excuse me, gosh, I started getting the thing. We're going to go live right now. We are live right now as we speak. And so I've been asking this question for the last week. Where are these so-called good cops that everybody keeps talking about? Nobody seems to be able to point it out. Now, yesterday, a 75-year-old white man, mind you, a white man got his ass brutalized for no reason. Just brutalized. Cracked his skull wide open. The two cops that are involved, they were put on administrative leave with pay, I believe, suspended, whatever you want to call it. And 57 officers of the Buffalo Police Department resigned. Now, they're going to try to spin this like, oh, those cops resigned and they left the police force. No, remember, we're in a pandemic. Who could really afford to leave their job that they're currently working at? 57 police officers walking out in solidarity? Give me a freaking break. They left that particular task force. Those 57 officers are still on the police force. But what does that tell you when 57 officers leave the task force because they're in solidarity with the two men that brutalized that 75-year-old man? So where are the good cops, everybody? Where are the good cops? Everybody keeps justifying there's some good cops. I've said this all the time. You cannot be a good person in an organization if you condone criminality and wrongdoing. You just can't be silent about that. And why would you want to work for an organization that does that? You know, we have a thing in the military. We always talk about the 10% of the Marine Corps. And a lot of the Marines listening to this know what I'm talking about. There's that 10%. And that 10% doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they get into a lot of shit and they do dumb shit, right? Always getting into trouble, breaking up stuff, you know, just, you know, doing what young devil pups do, I guess. We talk about the 10%. We're not going to tolerate it. Do you see what I'm saying? There's always going to be that. So, you know, a lot of my white friends, unfortunately, they keep trying to micromanage and pick out individual things. It's just like, if you got these white friends that keep trying to explain to you what Trump meant, like you don't have any cognizant comprehension or reasoning. Oh, no, well, even though he said nigger, he actually meant black. Really? You didn't think, what? Huh? Oh, no, Trump didn't say that. He, what he really meant. Stop telling me what he meant. I heard what he said. I understand English. But you always have those people that want to explain that kind of stuff to you. It's just crazy to me how these people constantly feel that they have to explain to you what somebody else meant. We saw the video. I'm not stupid. At least I don't think I am. But that's how they, seem to treat you. It's like, really? Really? I'm not smart enough to understand what that man meant. So if you guys saw the video, you had these cops in Buffalo and they are trying to move the police force or the protesters. And it's like they can't even decipher protesters from rioters. There's a big difference, and I keep trying to tell people that stop confusing protesters with rioters. Totally different group of people. So I'm going to show you guys this video and you guys tell me what you guys think of the video and, tell me if your lying eyes are seeing what I'm seeing. Okay. So you got this guy out here. You got let me just describe for the video, so here comes the police officer. The white guy walks up to him, flashing some kind of badge, and they push him. And they just walk, and his head's cracked, blood's coming out of his ears, and they walk by to go get the other protesters and just leave him there. I'm talking about at least 40 to 50 police officers render no aid to this man. Zero aid. And they're arresting the protesters instead of arresting the policeman who, for no reason, assaulted that man. Why aren't they arresting him? If I had troops that did a war crime, you're under arrest immediately. Immediately. But they're trying to tell us what we're seeing is not what we're seeing. Amazing. White man ran him over. No problem. And everybody says, well, there's good cops. Where? Point these good cops out. Where are they? I'm looking for them. I'm trying to give you guys every chance in the world to show me these good cops. And for some reason, you guys can't seem to pick them out. But here's the funny thing about this whole thing. And this is what's funny to me. Black people and brown people and, people of color have been saying this about the police department for years. See, now it's an issue because you are now seeing police brutalizing white people for no apparent reason. There's video of people being brutalized as they're trying to get home, walking, through a intersection. The police just started beating them for no reason, beating people, in their front yards. And you mean to tell me you guys want to throw more money at these police departments? Again, I am going to digress. Where are these good cops you guys keep talking about? Point them out. I want to meet them. I want to meet one. I really do. You can't be a good cop when you stand around in silence in support of the bad cops. That means you're complicit in it. You're complicit. Oh, we're going to resign. 57 cops resigned from that task force to support 2 cops that went rogue. So what does that say about the other 57 cops? But we're the bad guys. We're the bad guys. Hey, a quick reminder to you guys, tomorrow, you guys, on the War Zone, we're going to have a very, very good show. You guys, please, Demetra Kay, the 5-star general, Jerry Wayne Monroe, the 5-star general, on the War Zone. We are going to have a very good show tomorrow, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Please tune in. Please tune in. It's going to be, we're going to have Police Chief of Houston, Escovedo, I believe his name is. And we got a lot of good questions. And I'm going to ask him a question on this because he's been on all the news talking about, using his Cuban background of how he's in solidarity with us and how what he saw on the George Floyd murder was incomprehensible and all this other stuff. Now, he's saying all of this stuff, and yet in Houston, people are being gunned down as he's talking. And by the way, one of the 2 officers that was that pushed that white man, the day before, he was kneeling with the protesters. This is all a show, everybody. This is all the show. They want these protests to stop. They want this protest to stop, and they want control. Now, here's the problem. There's too many of us for them to control, and that's why they're doing what they're doing. They're hugging and kneeling. Now, you people that are hugging and kneeling with these policemen, I have to question, what the hell are you doing? You don't hug and do all this with your enemy until you get results and some changes. Chief Escovedo, he's talking about change, but he's not doing it. And in the military, regardless of if I knew what my troops are doing or not, I am responsible for their actions. The police chief should have fired all of those guys on the spot. We need to get rid of these police unions, number one, because I'm not saying you can't have a union and collectively bargain, but police unions should only be used to negotiate salaries. We need to get away from the prosecution, immunization from prosecution. That should never be in the contract, because how you're going to stop all of this brutality is by hitting them in the pocket and letting them know they're subject to the same laws that we are subjected to. That's the only way. And you won't see as much. And we need to de-arm the police. And when I say de-arm the police, I'm saying give them all shotguns. Do like they do in Europe. Because when you got a shotgun slung over your shoulder or in your patrol car, you're not so quick to pull the gun out and just start shooting people. The incidents go down. But now everybody's starting to understand what black people were talking about. Oh my God, they're just resisting arrest. The police don't do that. Now you're finding out now, aren't you? Now you're finding out. Now the chickens have come home to roost. But the establishment wants these protests to stop. So all you Democrats out there, where's the legislation? Where's the legislation Nancy Pelosi is putting up to change the situation? Do you want to know how to make these protests stop? How about putting in legislation to shorten the wealth gap between black and white families? How about that? Cut the damn check. Give us our money. That is the only way a lot of this stuff will stop. You got these black people out here trying to survive. And how they're going to survive is they're going to eat, steal, and cheat, which is a human right to do to survive, whatever it takes to survive. But all you white people out there that are listening, I'm not saying you're all bad. No, I can't say that. I got a lot of white friends. But for years, you guys have sat in silence, and it's going to take white people to solve these problems. You guys have the power. That is the only reason that these protests have not been snuffed out. When I went to the downtown Riverside, California rally, I saw more white people than I did black people. I have to admit that, young white people, but the point is more of them. And Hispanic people. They were down there too. Young people coming together. And, you know, it's good to have allies, but they see the writing on the wall as well. Okay? They see the writing on the wall. And then now the NFL comes back and says, oh my God, if these guys keep doing what they're doing, we're not going to have a season, and we were wrong on the Colin Kaepernick thing. These guys will say anything to put a stop to these protests because the establishment, what did I say? If you guys been watching my post, what did I tell you? What was the premise of the French Revolution? They just uprised one day, just wanted to be free? No, the bourgeoisie of the elite were so damn wealthy and living in opulence, Versailles and all those places, and the people they're making bread out of tree paste and all this other stuff, and they had nothing. You know, they were making sayings, Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake, you know, stuff like that. That's how bad the people were in the wealth disparity. What do you think is happening here? Why do you think these people are rising up? Not just black people. We're talking about white people. The middle class, there is no middle class. There hasn't been no middle class since 2008. It's the have and the have-nots. The Russian Revolution. What was it about? You had the rich making all the money. Wealth disparity. And you didn't think that was going to happen here? Really? Man, you guys, come on now. Come on now. My people that are listening to me, you guys, please tell me you're not that foregone not to understand what all this is about. You want to solve the black situation? I got a good question. Why is it that in the black neighborhoods that are represented by black politicians, it is the most oppressed area anywhere? And yet these black people are still voting Democrat. Well, I'm not telling you to vote Republican because I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent. But nobody seems to answer that question. Nobody seems to answer that. Look at where the Republicans live. They take care of their districts. They do what they got to do. But why is it only, you know, we're fighting the machine and we're fighting ourselves and we're not holding these bootlicks accountable? Now, 9 days of revolution has been happening, and you haven't seen one politician stand up there and take charge and say, you know, my record speaks for itself. I bet you if Bernie Sanders came, and which he's not going to do, but if he came, people would cheer him because he was right. He's been trying to address these issues for over 50 years. What do you think would happen if Nancy Pelosi showed up at a rally? Notice none of these black leaders are showing up. None of these Democratic leaders are showing up. They like to be on the radio and on the Zoom conferences in their home, in their bunkers. But they don't want to face you. They do not want to face you. What do you think would happen if Nancy Pelosi, Jim Crow, Joe Clyburn showed up at a rally right now? What do you think would happen? And then you got these people talking about, why are they burning down their own neighborhoods? You got to own the neighborhood for it to be yours. Haven't you guys figured this out from the 1994 riots in LA? An uprising. It wasn't even a riot. It was an uprising in LA. Black people have no wealth. We don't own anything. You know, you always got these people, some of my Hispanic brothers and sisters. Well, you know, if, you know, it's your store, you know, it's your neighborhood, you own that, it's your community. Okay, I'll agree with that. Why are you burning up your community, but not your neighborhood? You want to know why they're burning up their community? Because they don't own anything in the community. That's why. So if we're going to be nitpicking and getting the monikers together, they don't own anything in the community. On my show, I have been talking about wealth. I'm one of those people. I'm an ADOS. I support Yvette Carnell and Tone Talk and what they're talking about without the money. If you don't have any money, you have no power. It's as simple as that. Money talks, bullshit walks. You don't have any money, you have no power. And you see, and right now you are seeing what that means. Black people are burning up stuff that it's not theirs. And you know what? And stop worrying about it. Because to have those businesses in those communities, you got to have insurance. So those owners or whatever, they ain't losing a damn thing. So quit worrying about it. They're going to gentrify the area, move the Negroes out, and they'll move somewhere else. What the hell's wrong with you? They don't care. When you are less than 12 years from zero, they don't care. They have nothing to lose. Don't you guys understand that? You have a group of people in the United States that has nothing to lose. Please explain this to me. In 1970s, Asian population was about 2% in the United States. And that was mostly Japanese and mainland Asianers, Chinese and people that were here. Not Vietnamese. Vietnamese were very, very low. So after the Vietnam War, we brought a whole bunch of Vietnamese here to the West Coast. And we put them in camps at Camp Pendleton, some of these Air Force bases, Travis, all these bases on the West Coast, right? Because these were our allies. We had to take care of them. Now, 1970, I was just born, so I'm 50 years old. That's 50 years ago. They didn't just say, welcome to the United States, good luck to you. They started them off with a stake. They gave them low interest loans. They gave them money to start their own communities. And a lot of people argue with me saying, well, you know, the Vietnamese came here and they already had wealth because their family members had saved up money. Bullshit. Bullshit. And I'm telling you why it's bullshit. Where is the second biggest congregation of Vietnamese people in the world besides Vietnam? I'll wait. Orange County, California. That's where. We have a town here called Little Saigon. And it is owned and operated by a community of Vietnamese people. When you go down there, I was in Vietnam the year before last. And I'm going to tell you, I was there 2019. And I'm going to tell you, even when you go to Little Saigon, they've got their buildings in Vietnamese. Their community. It's the second biggest congregation of Vietnamese people in the world. How did they do that? The Vietnamese population is 8%, 50 years later from the time it was 2%. Not the Vietnamese, but the Asian population, conglomerate together. Black people have been steady since the 1950s at 12 to 13%. How is that? How did these people were able to start a community and then name that community Little Saigon? Then you have another community called Koreatown in LA. And of course, everywhere you go, there's Chinatown. Please tell me where there is Blacktown. How do people who migrated here of their own will are doing better than people who have been here from the very beginning? 200 and something years. I don't want to hear about natives. They still have standing treaties. They got their casinos. They have their own laws. They have their own communities. They've been taken care of, shabbily, but the point is they're intact. Their heritage, they know all of that. What's the only group that everything was stripped from them? Black. ADOS, African descendants of slaves. Because you can't go to an African who migrated here 30 years ago and say, hey, What tribe are you from? And he doesn't know. He knows what tribe he's from. I'm Igbo from Nigeria. They can tell you what tribe they're from. They can tell you their heritage. You go to ADOS, where are you from? I don't know. Oh, you mean the United States? Oh, I'm from New York. No. Where are you from? You call yourself African American. Where are you from? I don't know. We're the only people that answer that question like that. What tribe are you from? I don't know. In the Caribbean somewhere, I don't know. So don't buy into that lie. Those people were heavily subsidized by the United States government to buy houses and open businesses. They were a thing. ADOS is the only ones that weren't. It's an outrage that has happened. How could people who migrate here do better than people who are originally from here? We get redlined, we get misaligned, we get killed in the streets. I mean, everything that we get, this system is put on our backs. We're at the bottom of the system, and everybody does better than we do that come here. Now you got Arabs coming here, people from, the Middle East. I'm sorry, did I say Arab? Or, because not everybody's Arabic. But people from the Middle East come here. Now they're doing better than us. They don't live in our neighborhoods, but they put their shops up there. But I'm paranoid. Oh, you guys think I'm paranoid? Wow. Think about that, you guys. So do you think that the protesters, that this is going to peter out now? They want these protests to stop. I say keep going. We've got white supremacy on the ropes right now. But we got to start demanding stuff. Separate from everybody else. Do not group us with anybody else. Joe Biden's lift every voice. That's bullshit. What is your ADOS agenda? That's what I want to know. What is Joe Biden's ADOS agenda? How are you going to address black people? Is my question. To catch us up to everybody else. Because I'll tell you, the little mom and pop stores, they're gone. They're gone completely. You're not going to survive that. The Democrats put out a bill to help small businesses if you have 500 employees or more. How many black businesses that have 500 employees? Very rare. I'm not saying they don't exist, but that's not everybody. So how does that help? Most black people that I know that have businesses have no more than 20 employees, if they even have that. I mean, I'm not understanding what's going on here. So again, I'm looking at the comments, and where are the good cops? A lot of people saying what I'm saying. There are none. Because you're complicit in what is going on. Please tell me, where are the good cops? I mean, you're seeing video all over the place. And these, have you guys seen some of the cops now? They're taking off their badges because they don't want to be identified and held accountable for what they do, which goes against the police union contract. They're state employees or, city employees. They have to identify themselves as police officers. And a lot of these guys refuse to do this. So we're supposed to listen to people who don't follow rules themselves? Is that how it works? You want me to listen to you, but you have no badge on, you have no name on your plate, no patches. I don't know what organization you're with, but I'm supposed to listen to your authority? What authority do you have? Makes sense to me. But who am I? I'm just a guy on the radio, right? I'm just talking. Correct? You know, it's just amazing to me. They do not know what to do. They need these protests to stop. They don't have control. That's why Trump wants to bring in the troops, the active duty troops, which is against the law. You can't do that. And any military person who follows that order needs to be taken out when it's all over and shot immediately as a traitor, because your job is to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And you have just you've gone against that. Active duty military troops are not to be used against American citizens. That is not what they're trained for. And I know a lot of you non-military people see National Guard out there and they have the same uniforms on as an active duty person. They're two different things, okay? Every state has their National Guard. Remember when the pandemic first hit, the National Guard was called out to help. That's what they do. They're state, militia. That's what they're there to do, at the discretion of the governor. But when the United States uses federal U.S. troops against the states, that is illegal. And any military commander that follows that order needs to be rounded up and shot on the spot or dealt with according to the UCMJ accordingly. That is an unlawful order. And a lot of military people know that. And then you got to ask yourself, the people that would have to enforce these orders, a lot of people in the military are black and brown. I mean, I know that doesn't mean a lot because you got a lot of black and brown people on these police forces, and they rather get a fucking check than stand up for what's right. But again, I digress. I'm still asking you guys, where are the good cops? You could go on YouTube and I can show you hundreds of videos of cops brutalizing citizens, unarmed citizens. I feared for my life. You're the one with the gun. How did you fear for your life? To push that old man down. Was that really necessary? Mr. Policeman, did you fear for your life? Is that why you did it? And obviously this 75-year-old white man felt comfortable enough to go up to you guys. Maybe he thought, hey, we're on the same team, but I guess he found out a little different, didn't he? You can't end a revolution without asking for what you want. What is it that we want? Oh, a bunch of promises? No. No. We're not doing that. We want police reform implemented now. Not, stop the protests and then we'll talk. No, we're not doing that. Don't fall for that. We're into strong arm negotiations right now. Now remember, Occupy Wall Street? Remember when that was going on? Remember that? Then Obama gets elected and everybody was like, oh, wow, oh my God, a black president. Then everything stopped. This is almost the exact same scenario. All 50 states, there's protesting going on. This is almost the exact same scenario. So what's going to happen is 5 months from now, Trump's going to get voted out of office, and then Biden's going to get in there, and everybody's going to be going, oh, wow, Biden's going to fix it. And then you're going to find out it's the same thing. The establishment is still back in power. Oh, God, oh, wow. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. They want these things to stop. If they want them to stop, we need police reform now. Where is these congressional people, Republican and Democrat, coming to the table and putting out legislation that is going to fix all of this? How do you fix it? Everybody's asking me, you're always saying what you need to do. How do you fix it, Donovan? Okay, number one, get rid of prosecution immunity. Get rid of that. If they do a crime just like we do a crime, they will be prosecuted. There is no protection. Number 2, separate the relationship between the district attorney and the police department. And what I mean by that is stop having them work so closely together. Make it a problem if they're seen at dinner together, golfing together, and being friends together. Same thing with the judiciary. These entities need to be separated completely. Nobody's talking about the medical examiner that said that, oh yeah, his, health and stuff was already bad and, he would have died anyway and that contributed to his death, which is bullshit. Why isn't that guy up on charges? Most medical examiners go lockstep with what the police department's report wants them to put on there. All of these departments need to be separated. The relationship between the district attorney and the police department need to be severed completely. 2 different entities, 2 different investigations. They should not be working together at all. Kind of like like we have in the military, we have, you have CSI in the Navy, Navy CSI, you got Air Force CSI, different departments. Same team, but different departments. Or FBI and the CIA, they do 2 different things. Supposed to be on the same team, but sometimes they don't like to work together. Need to start defunding the police department. Stop weaponizing the police department. Defund them. Start doing an aggressive background check. Check out these people's social media. Big problem in the training. The reason why a cop carries a gun and is sanctioned to use violence is so that I can get home safe. Not so that he can get home safe, he or she can get home safe. It's so I can get home safe. Not, me first mentality. That's the problem. These cops are taught that they need to get home first. You shouldn't be a cop if that's your thing. If the military had that kind of training, we'd really have nobody on the front lines because who would want to go out there? No. They have to do a rebranding in the training. If you do not want to put your life on the line for the people that you're supposed to protect and serve, you should not be a police officer. Cut and dry. You shouldn't be a police officer. Take away the 9mm guns and let every cop run around with a shotgun. Period. That would cut down on a lot of shooting. Whoever came up with the no-knock warrant, get rid of that. You're killing a lot of people and saying oops. I mean, these things are very, very simple. I'm going to tell you guys, you got to vote. But get something for the vote. Stop voting these bootlicks in. Oh, John Lewis, he's got cancer. Oh, he's so sick. But he wasn't sick enough to go to the Pettus Bridge where he got his ass whooped. He put out a little statement. Just ask yourself this. I really wonder, if John Lewis showed up at these protests, how would he be received? Where's Aunt Maxine? Kamala Harris? Why aren't they showing up and showing their faces at these rallies in the states that they represent? Why aren't they showing their faces? Have you guys ever thought about that? I do. I think about it all the time. You know why? Because they don't give a shit. They're in it for the power. Don't you guys get it? But you guys still vote for him. Not one statement. Yeah, they'll put out statements on Twitter. Yes, it's such a tragedy. And oh God, how bad. Why aren't you on the front lines? That's leadership? Really? Looking at the comments, hey, you guys are still not telling me where the good cops are. Name one. Name one good cop that you know of. Name me one. Bill Bratton, what a joke. Come on now. That guy hops from city to city, whoever's got the biggest check. Give me a break. In every city that he was commissioner or chief, those cities have so many violations, it's unreal, and police brutality. Give me a break, Bill Bratton. Telling you guys, we got to do better. Keep up the pressure. That's all I can really tell you. You got to keep up that pressure. You got to, let them know that, we're serious. We want something for what we're doing. The status quo is not going to work anymore. But hey, you guys, I'm Donovan Sadiq. I am the Inland Empire Informer. And for those on the podcast, we've got so much work still to do. Please check me out on the Demetra K Show Sundays, Facebook Live, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Demetra K Show. I'm also on the War Zone, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, every day. Every day, you guys, with the 5-star General Jerry Wayne Monroe, who was on Ground Zero up in Minneapolis, and he got the real scoop up there. So check out the show. We're on Facebook, YouTube, you name it, Twitter. We're all over there. So, yeah, you guys, just please keep up the pressure. There is no such thing as a good cop. I have yet to see a so-called good cop, stop his fellow cop from beating somebody's brains in. I have yet to see that. Again, one of the 2 Buffalo policemen that pushed that old man, the day before, he was kneeling with the protesters. So that goes to show you, he doesn't even believe the bullshit. But black people, you gotta respect the police. They don't brutalize people. You're imagining things. I guess people are now realizing we ain't fucking around. It's crazy, you guys. That's all I can tell you. Hey, tune in again, you guys. It's great talking to you. I'm on Facebook, IE Informer, the Inland Empire Informer, or just go to my page, Donovan Sadiq. I'm available. Got any questions, comments, concerns? I also give stock tips. I'm not a broker or anything, but for some reason I'm really good at it. People have been making money. I just told people. I just have a feeling. So you guys are on the podcast. We're going to talk to you guys a little bit later. You guys have a good one. And we will be talking. I'm Donovan Sadiq.